Morning, Bayonne High School, yes?
Yes.
Good, we're in the right place. Have a seat, please. Again, we'd like to welcome you all. We hope your day's been going well, and we are the judges for Unit 5. We're going to introduce ourselves, and we would ask that you introduce yourselves, and then we'll get into the questioning and the responses. My name is Jim Daly, and I'm a professor at Seton Hall University.
I'm Pamela Brownstein. I'm the executive editor at the New Jersey Law Journal.
And my name is Ann Armstrong, and I'm on the state board for the League of Women Voters.
I'm Fatima Capito, and I'm a junior at Seton Hall University.
And would you tell us who you are, please?
Good morning, I'm Robert Suarez.
Good morning, I'm Laura Gawarji.
Good morning, I'm Fatima Speaking. Good morning, I'm Juliana Avalon.
Good morning, I'm Smith Amy.
Good morning, I'm Ken McMillan, and we're here today with our teachers, Mr. Luca and Mr. Farage.
Good. Thank you very much, and welcome to all. Again, the question is from Unit 5, and the question we'd like you to respond to is question number 2. I'll read the question in its entirety and then ask you to respond. The First Amendment, with its protection of freedom of speech and press, has been described, excuse me, as being, quote, at the heart of the American democracy, unquote. Do you agree or disagree with that description? Why or why not? Why is the freedom of expression important to the individual and to the society as a whole? Under what circumstances, if any, are limitations on freedom of speech and press consistent with the intent of the First Amendment, and why? Are you ready? Please begin.
The French writer and philosopher Voltaire said, "I disapprove of what you say, but I'll defend it to your death the right to say it." Perhaps the most important right listed in the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, is the hallmark of both democracy and limited government. Without free speech, any criticism of the government would be impossible. If one cannot criticize the government, then the government is neither limited nor democratic. It's merely a reign on dictatorship. By allowing for freedom of speech, ideas can be exchanged and people prevent from another. Although a republic, the United States had a strong democratic tradition. Alexis de Tocqueville, the author of Democracy in America, observed, "In America, the majority races formidable barriers around the liberty of opinion. Within these barriers, can often a rightward praises a law stands if he goes beyond them."
The importance of freedom of expression to the individual and society as a whole is simply that it allows for all other rights to exist. Freedom of speech allows for public spaces to become marketplaces of ideas where ideas are freely exchanged. With freedom of speech, the people can protest injustice and encourage change. Without freedom of speech, the government can act without conscience, for it will never be shamed by dissenter for its actions, nor will it be forced to look at its actions and realize what it did was wrong. Therefore, freedom of expression allows for peaceful social change. Such is the case of Tinker versus Des Moines, when 3 students wore black armbands in protest of the Vietnam War. Since they violated the school's policy of banning wearing armbands, they are suspended. The American Civil Liberties Union then encouraged the students' families to challenge the suspensions, and the case was Supreme Court, where the suspensions were overturned on the basis that the black armbands were symbolic speech.
However, there can be a limit to freedom of expression. The government had attempted to further limit freedom of speech during wartime. In Schneck versus United States, Mr. Schneck mailed letters to draftees to peacefully protest the draft, and was charged with violating the Espionage and Sedition Acts. However, the conviction was upheld. Regarding the case, Justice Holmes wrote that during World War I, that form of free expression would create a clear and present danger that they will bring about the substantial evils that Congress has worked to prevent. Also, as established in Brandenburg versus Ohio, freedom of speech can be limited when it is intended to forbid or prescribe advocacy of the use of force or of law violation, except where such advocacy is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action.
Freedom of speech is important. However, if that speech is intended to cause a breach of the peace or other lawlessness, then the government has a compelling state interest in the form of keeping citizens safe of limiting the rights to free speech.
In addition, there are also limits on the basis of time, place, and manner. However, these restrictions must be content neutral and apply fairly. That is, one group could not show favor over another. This is very important in the case of National Socialist Party of America versus Village of Skokie, in which our NSAP group wanted to march in Skokie, Illinois, where 1 in 6 residents of the Jewish community were Holocaust survivors. Originally, the group was not allowed to wear Nazi uniforms or swastikas, but the Supreme Court determined that the wearing of such items would have been symbolic speech, not fighting words, and thus protected. The right to freedom of expression is also curtailed during war and times of emergency, as to prevent pressure seekers, especially military, from being leaked
thus compressing the country's positions and tactics. However, if the government cannot prove a compelled state interest, such as in New York Times versus United States, then the distribution or elevation of information cannot be stopped.
The English writer John Milton stated, "If we the liberty to know, to utter, to argue freely according to conscience." In America, freedom of expression is one of the, if not the most important rights possessed. It cannot exist where there is oppression, but when there is liberty. It can only exist when there are strong democratic traditions. Freedom of expression is at the heart of American democracy and the crowning jewel of all our rights.
Good, thank you very much. At this point, we'd like to provide some follow-up questions. So if you haven't already done so, if you put your notes away. And as you know, you will have 6 minutes to respond to these questions. Would you want to answer the first question?
In what ways are new forms of communication, the internet, Facebook, etc., giving rise to important First Amendment issues?
The internet provides many ways for new changes. During Egypt, there was a huge revolution that started, and the way it started was through Facebook, a website that helped bring down an entire government that has been there for over 40 years. The internet provides great advantages to the time that we have.
In Russia, it has been said that they are going against Vladimir Putin's party, and these citizens assembled in Russia with the help of the Facebook page they created, with over 10,000 people arriving because Facebook helped create the event.
In addition, the internet allows for the free and rapid exchange of information. Now, someone can log on to the internet tonight and know what's going on in Afghanistan, in Russia, and France. It allows people to communicate more freely and thus exchange their ideas and improve the quality of life all over the world.
However, with the ability to easily access information comes with great detrimental abilities. Since information is so easily gathered nowadays, it also violates a person's privacy rights and their freedom to be safe in mind and in body and other such things.
According to a survey conducted by the National Education Association, 1 in 7 children have been bullied or are bullies. You could imagine that most of these situations occurred online because of new technologies and Facebook and Twitter and all of these social networking websites where one could easily say something defamatory about another.
To add on to what Timmy said, CBS News conducted an article stating that 3 teens caused the death of a young teenage girl with putting Facebook updates about her in really derogatory ways, which ended up herself being hanged.
Some may say that by limiting these people, that they're limiting their speech, the rights to speech. That is not the case. Such as in New York Times versus Sullivan, which decided that you have the right to free speech unless it's libelous.
However, in the case, it should be noted that it was clear that the only time that a group could be prosecuted for libel is when they knowingly and maliciously posted the false information. In conclusion, the internet is a great source for communication. However, as is common with the most, free speech does not mean free speech free of consequences.
Juliana, did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to bring up with Facebook and to our First Amendment rights, there's people are posting things that are very discriminatory. Like with Jennifer O'Brien, she may now be losing her job because she's using her free speech, and she stated on Facebook that she is the warden to future criminals, and the internet and everything, it's causing problems within our First Amendment rights.
Good. Thank you very much. I'd like to ask a question that I think is related, but a little bit of a different skew. Increasingly, polls show that the public is choosing its news medium based on ideological preference. Do you think that's a healthy or an unhealthy development, and why?
I believe that having extremely biased news coverage. It's not a good thing. Fox News often call it phone news. Because how it is very conservative and has been known to report false information. While MSNBC, CBS, CNN, or more liberal news stations, the news should be totally and truly unbiased for it to be a healthy outlet.
I agree with my classmate Hannah. Our country was founded on ideas of civic virtue, in which people put the interests of society as a whole over their own. It's better that we see, if we look at things and pick sides based off how well they can benefit our country, not just ourselves.
To add on to what my classmate Robert said, Felix Frankfurter once said, free press is not a mean, and that's not an end to itself, but a means to the end of achieving a free society. Although this may be true, and freedom of press is one of our most beloved rights, I do not believe that it's protected under false statements or corrupt statements.
Recently, there have been WikiLeaks that have caused many uprisings in the United States. And the problem that's going on right now, the people are tired of some stuff not being allowed to be said. And with the WikiLeaks, they were allowed to know about what's going on with the soldiers in Iraq and all of this. So this is why the WikiLeaks said that we are protected by our lawyers, and that if the United States versus the Pentagon Papers have the right to say this, then why can't we put our opinion out there as well? And William Blackstone once stated that the liberty of press is indeed essential nature to a free state.
So go back to more about choosing the news outlet by the political ideology. Studies have shown that the news coverage, even what is covered, is very different between the more conservative and the more liberal news missions.
Good. Thank you very much. I'm sorry we don't have more time to pursue the issue, but at this point we'd like to give you some feedback, some things that we thought you did well, some things that we thought you may want to think about for the future.
Sure. I thought you did an excellent job. I think having the names up in front of us was very good, first and last names, and relating over to one another, as my colleague Robert said, was a nice idea.
Sure. I wanted to add that I especially like the way you wove in, and it was actually the first time we heard this today, about how social media actually had triggered the actions in Egypt, and that was a really, really good explanation. Also the same with Putin and Facebook there. These are really ways that you are applying what you know to current happenings. I thought you gave a lot of very concrete examples, which is very, very helpful to us and to you. My only suggestion is that I know the time restraints are such that it's hard, but if you could just speak a little more slowly. But I know that you're trying to give us so much information. We love getting it all, so it's a hard decision to make.
And I would agree with my colleagues. Introduction particularly strong. I liked the way it began. I thought Robert gave a really nice, powerful explanation. I liked the way each of you supported that, and I liked the way Hannah kind of wrapped it up and gave a solid closing to that opening, which was very well done. And I also liked the way you responded to the follow-ups. Again, I thought the specific citations, Egypt, Russia, bullying, the citations in New Jersey, the 1 in 7, and the difficulty of navigating this relatively new terrain. What do we do? You gave evidence of having, I think, a pretty thorough understanding of the issues, and I commend you and I commend your classmates and your teachers for the job you've done. So we enjoyed being with you. Thank you.
Thank you.